the world as it currently stands has a lot of fluffy nonsense that doesn't help anyone move forward. And I like to, as much as I can, not have that shit involved in my life either. And I try to do things that are tangible, accessible, real, helpful, you know, because people can feel a little bit lost and hopeless at the moment. And I would love to help less people feel that way. And the breath is this, we're trying to create this thing together that bridges the gap between the woo-woo crew from Byron Bay and also the two sciencey people. Like there is so much science in breath, and we know some wonderful breath scientists who are elite at what they do, but they may not have the facilitation
you need that
piece.
for
They can't deliver the thing. They have all the science, but they can't deliver the experience or the language or the thing that makes it more accessible. And that's why the model that we've been creating and the shapes and things, we're trying to create a tangible shape and understanding of something that you can't see. But it's so important because we've all trained dehydrated. We've all trained without eating enough food. We've all trained with terrible sleep. But if I block your nose and tape your mouth, you will not train very long. And then that will be all you care about. The minute your breath is taken away from you, there is nothing else in this world you will think about, to the point where even if you compromise someone's diaphragm from a position, your body will sacrifice everything else to get your breath back. And then our kind of goal is, if you can make your breath harder to lose, it's harder to lose your composure. And when you do lose your composure and or your breath, you can bring it back down again and you're there. So one thing that my partner and I have gotten really good at over the last 5 or 6 years, and akin to you, I could actually fall asleep. When I first met Layla, I would wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I slept so well. And she's like, isn't that normal? And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, you just calm me down. Like, you have to just be there. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
You know, but with all that stuff that we've been doing there, everyone has their blow-ups, right? But the most amazing thing is whenever we do have our blow-ups, the coming back together has gotten shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, to the point where it's like within a handful of minutes, either of us can be heightened, come back down, come back together, hug, make up, I'm sorry, love you, and we move forward. So instead of having half your day ruined over a often petty argument, gone.
Because you've got the tools to change the feelings inside and to actually bring yourself down. Which brings it to the fact that with breath work, there are so many different types of breathing. Right? You can breathe to get yourself hyped up. You can breathe to get yourself, tired and go to sleep. You can breathe to do so for performance. Like, there are so many different types.
Or to be intimate.
100%. Yeah. I think, and that's what our intention is to pass on. I've been calling it the Swiss Army knife of all tools. It just can do all these things. Depending on what you want, it can serve you in any given situation.
But you have to know. You have to know what that is and why. And that's why when we've looked at our model, we've broken it down into like 3 broad categories of what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to activate, we're trying to regulate, or we're trying to release. Blow off some steam, find some balance, or fire the fuck up.
And you think about, like when you said before about being intimate, it brings me back to 2019 when my wife and I, we were first trying to have a child. And she had a miscarriage 6 weeks after falling pregnant. And instead of starting my day by myself, I would start my day with her instead. So instead of going and doing my own breathwork practice, I would start my day with her and share my breathwork practice with her. So I would lay just like you guys are, holding hands. And when we breathe in and out together for the same tempo, it creates heart-mind coherence. So I would just hold her hand and I would play the frequency of love, 528 hertz, and we'd just breathe in and out together for 100 breaths. 3 months later, she fell pregnant with our son.
Well, it's interesting, the last 24 hours with the level of coherence that we've had, we've both said that, like, had we not practiced safe sex type of practices,
It's like I would have
put a baby in her. For sure. But even you said that too. Yeah.
It's that feeling.
Yeah,
we're
100%. When you're so coherent, with the last 3 pregnancies, actually, well, the last 2 not with dunks, I don't think.
No,
with dunks too.
Every one of them.
We've known
every time
that night, like as in within 30 minutes. Yeah, and even I think the last 2, it's not like it was, in per se. It was just kind of being there in being there in the shower and kind of realizing and saying like, I remember the last time with Layla, I said I was seeing a baby floating around in, like, whilst I was awake, I was seeing it, and I think we both just knew, like, yeah, you know. So, but again, it comes back to breath and coherence. It's an activator, which I actually want to, two areas I want to go to. Firstly, with you, how have you used, because I think, you know, mum of 7, entrepreneur, everything that you've got going on, you traditionally haven't had the time to get up, do your morning routine, go and breathe and do all that type of stuff. But you in your own way have had your own, I guess, subconscious breathwork practice now for 15, 16 years. You know, talk to us about that.
Yeah, I haven't actively practiced breathwork, so I'm quite excited actually to start going on this journey with you guys. I haven't actively done anything, but what I used to say to Daine, especially like with the babies and, you know, all the kids I've been getting up every 2 hours, or even, you know, Maya was every 1 hour. I was cluster feeding all night through the night, every night.
They'd sleep in the bed. Yeah.
But he's like, you know, how are you feeling? And I was still functioning. And you know why? Because I was using breath work while I was feeding, while I was laying in bed. That yes, I was awake, but I actually wasn't. I was getting, I was being restored as well at the same time. So you can actually lie there awake but not awake and still kind of in a space where you're getting restorative energy and you're not feeling exhausted and drained. I think it's that trying to shut off your mind, trying to use different types of breath. I wouldn't even know what I was using or what I was doing.
Yeah, I was about to say it's
scientists would
like
say it's
yoga nidra.
NSDR,
Yeah.
non-sleep deep rest. So your brain's in
Like theta.
similar ways.
I can literally just sit there with my mind with everything down and just breathe and just be present and breathe and literally I've spent the last 7 years literally like that for half the night, all night, every night for the last 7 years. And I feel well rested in the morning. I'm fine.
It is actually NDSR, because I would always, when she would explain it to me, then after everything that I've learned, you know, over the last kind of 5 years of doing it myself, I'm like, well, you're going into like a theta brainwave state where you're between the gateway, you're not there, you're consciously unconscious. And, you know, like obviously when you bring your heart rate down and do all that, you are getting a lot of the restorative benefits, but she would do it for like hours.
Half the time, my Apple Watch or my Weltery would say that I was asleep, but I'm like, I'm not asleep. I'm lying there, my eyes are awake. Or I can lie there and just close my eyes like I'm not asleep. But
the level of restoration is quite insane, huh?
Oh, it's amazing.
And it's